Meet Ezra, my 9-year-old who can't talk. He literally can't say his own name, but he can spell things like this.
What do you like to eat? R-I-C-E. You just spelled rice.
Ezra has level 3 autism, possible OCD, ADHD, and apraxia of speech. There were signs of Ezra's autism as early as 3 months old. We didn't know it yet, but we got it on video. So here's 12 early signs of autism in an infant from our home to yours. And the last sign is one you really need to look out for because it's little known. People don't really know about it. Unless you're a professional, you should know about it. But if your child does this, if your infant does this, then they're most likely autistic. And if they're not, then something else is going on. And you need to make sure that your medical provider, your child's pediatrician knows about this thing that they're doing, the 12th sign. Sign number 1 is doesn't want to snuggle. When Ezra was first born, I remember holding him tight, looking out the window at fireworks at our hospital. And of course he snuggled with me, he's a newborn. But it did not take long until I realized that he kept pushing me away. He didn't like to nurse at all. He liked a bottle. And also, he didn't want me to hold him with the bottle. He liked to be in his blue chair. This is his blue chair that we always fed him in. I always stayed close and watched him drink his bottle. And he was so much more content when I wasn't cuddling with him. That was really odd behavior for me from my perspective because I had 3 older kids who just adored him, by the way. And when they came in, actually, I just need to show you. This is the clip of them coming in and visiting Ezra and seeing him for the first time in the hospital. I just have to share it with you.
Marie, what do you think? What's the baby's name?
Ezra. Ezra.
It's Ezra? Is he cute?
He's really happy and kind of a little tired because he just had a bottle.
You come on in too so we can get you in a picture.
I remember talking to a doctor and he kind of snuggled with me on my shoulder and he said, "Oh, I really don't think your child's autistic because he's snuggling with you." And I'm like, "Well, yeah, he's snuggling with me, but like he's almost asleep. Like he's super tired." When he was awake, he didn't seem to desire or want that kind of snuggle. But with Simon, when he was 1 year old, we lived full-time in an RV and we traveled all the national parks. And he loved being in the RV because it was the same thing, right? It was the routine of the same bed, the same food that we cook him. And he also liked being snuggled. And so when we went to a different place, which kind of caused anxiety for a little 1-year-old with autism, which we didn't know he was autistic at that time, then we would come back to the RV and I would just hold him and snuggle and that would calm him down. And I remember thinking, wow, this is really different than Ezra. And we still post regularly of our unique normal, living in an RV, visiting all the national parks. So please consider subscribing. Sign number 2 is rarely smiling in social situations. My older 3 kids, Mark, Benson, and Marie, it was like clockwork. As soon as they were 3 months old, they would show me that social smile. Now, newborns will sometimes smile, and it's really cute. Make sure you get your cameras out. But we don't really know why they're smiling. Well, when they hit about 3 months old, then that's when, usually with a neurotypical child or a non-autistic child, you start to see that social smile. Now with Ezra, I didn't see that social smile. I remember feeling like he's acting like a newborn still, even though he's 3 months old. And then as a baby, Ezra seemingly didn't need me socially to be happy. He was very content without me. And honestly, it was great. Like he was such an easy baby. Such an easy baby. Recognizing these early signs have helped us get Ezra and Simon that early intervention that has supported them and that's really helped them. And so please like and subscribe if you feel like this could be useful for someone else. Share this video so that we can increase awareness and we can get these guys the early intervention that can really help support them. If you have any concerns that your child may be autistic, please see a professional. And I don't just mean a pediatrician, I mean a clinical psychologist who is trained and educated to do an ADOS-2 test and to check for intellectual delay and to really know for sure if your child is autistic or not. It's really good to know. Even if they're not autistic, it's good to know that they're not. So especially if you have these concerns. But while you're on the waiting list, which sometimes lasts really long, believe me, I know, we have a free guide. Click the link in the description below for that free guide, 12 most common signs of autism. Sign 3, delayed babbling. Babbling means that your child is saying words or sounds repetitively. Ezra, on one hand, having level 3 autism, he didn't really babble at all until like 6 months, and then he babbled until he was like 9 months old, and then he kind of stopped. And now he's 9 years old and he does not say anything. He'll do noises, but it's not babbling. His noises are like a repetitive stim. How do you even describe it? I'm just going to show you. Here is Ezra doing a repetitive stim. It's called a vocal stim. Isn't he cute? So he does that noise all the time, but it's technically not really babbling. It's him vocally stimming. So you can see the difference. Simon would babble to himself a lot. His babbling was quite delayed still. And then it took him a long time to actually communicate with us. It wasn't until about a year of speech therapy, and then he started really communicating, and then he picked it up extremely fast. So there's 2 very different examples of delayed babbling on the autism spectrum, but they both had delayed babbling. So that is a possible sign of autism. Please comment below on a sign of autism that we missed. I know that there's not only 12, there's more. So put it down below if you know of another sign. Or if you just have a question about a sign, put it below. We always read our comments. We'd love to hear what you want to share. Number 4 is limited eye contact. So this is one of the first signs we saw in Ezra. And of course we didn't know at the time. But when he hit 3 months old, he really didn't make eye contact. And I was expecting that. I was expecting that eye contact, and it didn't happen at 3 months old. And then later, 4 months, 5 months, 6 months, it still didn't happen. Still to this day, he has very limited eye contact. Sometimes he will. And it's really cute too, because if he thinks I'm not paying attention, which a lot of times I'm not, and I'm looking this way, then he'll come up to me and he'll just like look, like come underneath me and like look, like, are you looking? Are you paying attention? And it's really sweet. So you can see in this next video, Ezra is really young, and I'm talking to him in kind of a sing-songy voice that mothers will do to get attention from their baby. And he does show that social awareness of my voice, but he doesn't show the eye contact. He reacts to the sound of my voice, but the eye contact is just not there.
Here, Mommy. Hello, honey.
He says, come on, pick me up.
Pick me up and feed me. Feed me. Hello.
Sign number 5 is overreacting to sensory input, and this is a really cute video. I am the mean mom in this video because I had him do tummy time. And he was visibly upset, and his dad came in and was like, why is he crying? I'm like, well, he needs to do tummy time. So I took out the video camera because I thought it was really funny, like my husband's reaction, going, oh, mean mom, and he picks him up and he tickles his feet. And watch his reaction. Watch how confusing this is. He was overreacting to the sensory input of being tickled. It felt good, but then he started crying. So just watch this video.
Toes. What? You can't decide it.
We have lots of stories to tell, actually, about Ezra and Simon, and we share a lot of these stories in a book that my husband and I wrote called 12 Mistakes We Made Raising Autistic Kids. It's called A Unique Normal, and I'd love to share that book with you. You can check it out in the link in the description below. Sign 6 is difficulty following people visually. Ezra and Simon both had a hard time tracking people with their eyes at around 3 months old. They would track things, though, like objects that they were interested in, that they would want to grab. But people's faces, like people in the room, like actually looking at people in the room, that tracking, for Ezra, it really didn't ever happen. And then, like, he doesn't track people. He walks into a room and he seemingly doesn't even know that you're there. He does. He knows you're there. He understands a lot. but he's not gonna like show the visual cues to make it look like he actually knows that you're there. And then with Simon, he did learn how to do that. I don't remember exactly when, if it was like 7 months old or 8 months old when he started visually tracking people. I know he eventually did. I know it was delayed though. Sign 7 is limited social interaction. So with Ezra, we saw this as a very big indicator of autism. It was very obvious. And of course it wasn't obvious to me, but it was obvious to those who were trained to know autism, right? Ezra wasn't motivated socially. And so he didn't do that social interaction like I expected him to do. And I want to give you an example. We didn't get this on video, but just imagine your little baby responding to peekaboo. You're hiding behind a couch or you have a book over your face and you go peekaboo. What kind of reaction do you get with a 3-month-old or a 4-month-old? Like what kind of reaction do you get? You get some kind of social interaction. They're surprised, they're scared, they're excited, they're wondering what you're doing, they're curious. Well, with Ezra, there was really seemingly no response, no reaction. It was like he was just kind of staring at a blank wall and he wasn't really staring at me. When he looked at my face, this is an extra one I was not planning on sharing. This is an extra little bonus. When Ezra is a little baby, 3 months old, when he looked at my face, he would look at my lips instead of my eyes. Sign 8, unusual or repetitive movements. Now, this is going to be like one of those things where you react and go, every baby has unusual or repetitive movements. You're right. They do. What makes it a sign of autism? This is what it is. This is what the difference is. It's the duration of how long they do the repetitive movement for, and then also how repetitive is it. Watch and see if a child, if a little newborn, if an infant is doing a repetitive movement for so long that it's actually kind of hurting themselves and they still do it. They don't stop. That is a possible sign of autism as well. Sign 9 is preference of objects over people. Now, this might sound stereotypical, but it is a sign of autism in very young children, in babies even. So at 3 months old, if your child seemingly doesn't desire you, but desires an object instead, and we're talking every day, we're talking almost every opportunity, they want the object, not the person, then that is a possible sign of autism. I remember when Ezra was really a newborn, he was awake, but he was happy. And I remember coming in and putting my hands down and saying, "Hi, I'm here," turning on the light, and he was still staring at the wall. Sign 10 is a lack of imitation. This is a sign of autism really just in Ezra, and he didn't try to imitate our faces, didn't try to imitate our sounds that we're making, didn't try to imitate what was happening. Even now, when Ezra is with a therapist and they take a car and go vroom vroom, he's not going to take the car and go vroom vroom. He's not. Like even at 9 years old, he's going to be looking at you and be like, "You're crazy. I know how to have fun with cars." And then he'll do what he likes to do with cars, right? Which is either throwing them or spinning the wheels or different things like that. And I feel like there's nothing wrong with that, but it is a sign of possible autism. Sign 11 is limited use of facial expression. Now, with Simon, he was kind of delayed with his use of facial expression, but it was there. With Ezra, we knew when he was scared, we knew when he was happy or sad, but when we wanted to come in and get his attention, sometimes he would even look away. He'd be like, "I'm not interested in your facial expression." Sign 12, if your child does this at any moment of their life, but especially when they're a baby, please let your doctor know. Let the child's pediatrician know, because it's very concerning. There could be something like an underlying diagnosis going on that like you don't know about, that I wouldn't know about, that only a professional would know. If I were to pick any sign of autism in babies that was the strongest indicator of possible autism, this would be it. And it is regression. If your child does something like hits a milestone and then the next day they regress and they don't do it for a long time, like a month goes by and they don't do that, that is regression. Regression isn't, they took their first step and then the next day they didn't. Regression is they took their first step and then 2 months go by, 3 months go by, and you're trying really hard to get them on their feet again and they're not doing it. It's really important to get these kids the early intervention that they deserve, that they need, the support that they can have as early as possible. Not only for them, but for you as well, so that you can be more confident as a parent, as a caregiver, as a teacher, to know how to support them. Here's 12 signs of autism in a child under 1 year old, and here's a playlist we made just for you. Is my child autistic? And remember, if you have an autistic child, you're in good company.